Okay. Holy cow. And they can tobacco? Yeah. Actually, that smells good once they make it. Oh, does it?
Yes, Ryan.
That's cool.
Wrong.
I don't really know that. That's a
So
half.
that was good news last night.
Hey Mike, would you like to lead us in the pledge? Pardon? Would you like to take the honor of leading us in the pledge?
Sure. Learn something new today. Yeah. What'd you do now?
You guys ready?
What'd you do now, Ben?
I think so. I'd like to bring the meeting to order. Please stand. I'd like the honor of having Mr. Mike Ahern lead us in the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sherry could not be here tonight, so I'm going to chair the meeting. I think I broke her hammer. She's going to be already upset at me. It's a nice mahogany one, too. Was that loud enough for you, Stacy? Thank you all for coming. Should be a pleasant meeting. The weather's been great. And we got a lot of great things on the agenda tonight. So I welcome everybody. Mr. Mike, awards, recognitions, and celebrations.
Yeah, one of the things that I'd like to just highlight and celebrate is that we have our Deke Summer Camp that's going on right now. It's a 4-week project where we brought kids from all over the district. You'll remember that last year we had the Explorer Camp, the STEM camp that they did. They opened that up to the whole district, and so we actually decided to run our summer school out there, and so we have quite an awesome thing going on out there. So anyone that would be interested, we'll have an opportunity to see pictures and things going on, but they're out there working hard each day, and pretty cool project out there.
That's it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, thank you. Yeah, I was out there last year. It was nice, and very, very nice. Consent agenda, approval of the regular meeting, minutes from the June 20th. B, the approval of the agenda. I don't believe we have any changes. And C, resignations, retirements. Do I have a motion?
Support.
Any questions, discussion? Seeing none. Be it resolved that Swartz Community Schools Board of Education approve the consent agenda items A, B, and as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Did I do that backwards?
That's okay.
Approval of the following resignations we already did. Okay, superintendent report.
On the resignations, I would like to acknowledge and recognize Mrs. Johnston. Mrs. Johnston took an opportunity to serve as a middle school principal and curriculum director out in Corona, and sounds like it would be a great opportunity for her to explore some curricular things at the central office level that she likes to do. And I just appreciate her professionalism and everything that she did out at Keynes Elementary School. And so we're appreciative of her dedication to our district, and we wish her all the best as she heads into her new chapter in her career. So out in front. So I also wanted to give the board a bit of an update on, we have a bond steering committee. This is a committee of about 14 or 15 individuals that represent quite a cross section of our community. We have people from all different buildings represented. We have people from the senior community represented, from all different township and part of our community that are represented at this meeting, with this committee. The committee's responsibility is really to start to find transparently how we communicate information. They're learning a little bit about how to put the information out there in a way that meets all of our guidelines and policies, and a lot of that is predicated on the resolution to call the bond election this evening, where you will be formally approving the bond ballot language. So it's been a good committee. We've only met a couple times, so there's not a lot to share out about that. But there will be necessary conversations that happen at this table, particularly around some of the community forums and meetings that we're gonna have moving into the fall. So I'll have more information on that as well. We've spent the last few weeks getting into the swing for the upcoming school year. So we spent most of June kind of closing out and getting prepared for a little bit of a break. Many people kind of took some vacation over the week of the 4th, and I certainly partook in that and was very fortunate to get away for a few days and enjoyed some family time. But we hit the ground running this past week, and we have been for the last week and a half really gearing up for the fall. So we're pretty busy dealing with hiring teachers all the way to planning professional learning for our teachers, preparing state reports that need to be filed. There's a lot of business items that need to be attended to. So we're fully forced into the 18-19 school year, and 17-18 has been put to rest. So that's been busy. One kind of interesting thing that was brought to my attention today, and you know, Mr. Engel, if you have anything to share, the Swartz Creek Fire Department and the Clayton Township Police Department are putting on a back-to-school bash for a lot of the students and their families from Clayton Township. They're going to be holding it up at Fire Station number 2, which is on Seymour Road. And so we'd like to encourage the families out at Deke and some of the families that have children in Clayton Township to attend. They're going to have a lot of fun. They'll have prizes and things like that. So I do have flyers to pass around. Ken, do you have anything to add to that?
No, just, you know, adults are welcome as well. And, you know, for the children in Clayton Township.
Yeah, so sounds like it'll be a great opportunity. This is kind of the first of many, I think, that will be preparing for some fun back-to-school activities, and we're kind of gearing up for that already. You're seeing the schools, back-to-school signs going up at the department stores, and it just seems like summer flew by, but we are fully ready to go, and we're excited about a good start to the school year, so more to come on that. That's it.
Excellent. It sounds like this would be a good thing too for Clayton. Well, this is for the whole district though?
For Clayton Township.
Clayton Township.
Okay, just Clayton.
Kind of directed it more towards the kids in the township.
Okay.
Neat opportunity.
Okay, board subcommittee reports. Stace?
We met for academic achievement, and Daniel is here to go over that with everyone, so I'm gonna hand it over to you.
So,
Yes.
yeah, so you'll have your actual presentation and discussion, but do you want to highlight a couple of things that you did? Yeah.
The academic committee went very well, and I'm excited to tell you more about it in about 10 minutes.
So we talked a little bit about the Learning Center, the Virtual Learning Center, which is a new launch of our previously academy. There's some different pieces to that we'll want to tell you about. We talked about that, as well as you know, some of the different hubs that they're going to service.
Yep. Homeschool Connections, Adult Voyager Completion, providing a space for our learners, and branding and marketing. So we'll have you in 10 minutes or so. Thank you. And then also we did policy. Carrie's not here, so I will go over that. We reviewed the policies and discussions for tonight. We reviewed 7540 especially, which has quite a few options, in 7544. And Ben is gonna take us through our first reading of all that tonight, so that's it for that.
Any questions on academic or policy? Seeing none. Mr. Ahern, Mike?
Finance Committee met Monday, 9th of July. We had discussion regarding the ongoing 17-18 audit. Pre-audit meeting was held on June 20th. We received a draft of the budget status report, and there's a copy in your packet for review. The check register for May 31st to June 29th was reviewed. The general fund has a total of 148 checks, 2642.82 to 2644.29 an amount of $416,715. There were no voids. The CDC fund had 3 checks in amount of $907.50. Paperwork on 4 of the checks were pulled and discussed. The check register website is currently being brought up to date. We had discussion regarding the bond ballot. As Ben stated, we're up on all application dates and working on bond language. Bids for the virtual learning center remodeling at the middle school have been received and will be up for approval tonight. We had no public comments, and that's it.
Any questions? Going fast. Thank you, Mike. Tony?
Building and site met July 9th at 4 o'clock. We talked about custodial. We're having a supervisor turnover problem. We've had 2 in the past 2 months for Dan Burr, so it's causing us issues.
Especially this time of year.
We are having trouble stripping the floor of the sealer that was used for the past 5 years. They're on their 3rd strip, try and get it up and go back to wax. Deke Elementary School failed the lead testing in their water, but Deke is the only school that has water fountains in the classroom, and that's what failed, was water fountains in the classroom, so we're gonna seal those off.
Yep, yeah, we're actually, we have that notification going out, and what they did is it used to be the threshold for passing a lead test was 15 parts per billion. And so they changed the threshold. We would have passed under that standard as they have for years. They changed the threshold this year to 5 parts per billion. So for those areas that it could have been the solder on the pipes, most of them weren't used. We're pulling those out of the classrooms, but something that we had to deal with up there.
And Mike talked about the academy, the bids, we're gonna vote on tonight, and we adjourned at 5:15. We're meeting August 6th at 4 o'clock.
And letters are going out to all the parents,
Yes.
is that correct?
Yeah, letters are going out to the parents at Deke. Yep.
Yeah, under the old guidelines, they all would have passed except for one.
Correct.
They all would have passed under the old.
Yes.
Yep.
Any questions, Tony? Any other committee meeting that I missed? Moving on.
We got all 4.
We got the informational items, or discussion items. Ben, hey, did you wanna introduce, Community First
Yeah.
presentation?
So, we had a really great opportunity. Mr. Ahern and Mr. Sapanik and I, we went out to Communities First, which is an organization, it's a nonprofit organization, and they specialize in communities like ours, they're local, and they specialize in rehabilitating old buildings. And they've done some really neat work. So we went to the Oak Street School and we toured the building. We got a chance to see not only an apartment, but we also got to see the facility itself. So the 3 of us took a little road trip. And so we've talked about this since we started talking about Mary Crapo. You had asked me at a previous board meeting to try and move forward in engaging a conversation. So tonight we have Communities First here with us to share a brief presentation about what they do and maybe some of their thoughts on the Mary Crapo building.
So, good evening. My name is Essence Wilson. I am co-founder and chief strategy officer for Communities First. We want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to present to you today. We're going to do a brief presentation telling you about some of our successes and our work. We've got a quick video to show you so you can see how we work with the community, and then we can talk a little bit about Mary Crapo as well.
Okay, alright. But Communities First, so we've been around, so I'm sorry, I'm Glenn Wilson, President and CEO of Communities First Inc. So we've been around now about 8 years. We do, like Ben said, a lot of redevelopments of historical buildings. But not only do we do that, we actually think about the entire community to make sure that we take a holistic approach to the work that we do. So we're all about making sure that we're trying to find ways to hire local people that's there in their communities, hiring local trades, subcontractors, contractors, to try to keep the money in the community. also very intentional about engaging the community in the process. So when we show a little video a little bit later, it'll show you how we, engage the community and have them come talk about. We had them talk about design and programming. It's been interesting to see how we've made the connections, not only with community but with older people that used to attend the school, because this one was built in 1898. We've come to find out with Oak School, we had tenants that actually now live in the building that actually used to go to the school. So that's interesting. Somebody that was in the first or second grade now lived there. So that's great to see how that happens. The community was very supportive of the project. We were able to get it done within about a 16-month time period. But it took like 3 years. The total process is not a very short process to get these projects done. But our mission is to build healthy, vibrant communities through affordable housing, economic development, and innovative programming. And as you see, those are our 4 areas that we focus on. So affordable housing, that's for people, it can be homeless, market rate housing, senior housing, people that have disabilities. So when you think of any different type of housing, we do all those different type of housing. So it's just not one. It's because depending on that community, we need to look at those demographics. Some people just build either all seniors, some people build all homeless, some people build all this. We actually build them all. When it comes to economic development, I talked about that, but we're very intentional, again, about hiring local people to get them to do particular jobs. So we probably created so far a little over 250 jobs, and we passed some permanent jobs as well that we've created in the community. We have an arts and culture outreach program, and I see that, I know you guys do movies out here, but the one that we do in Flint is the Movies Under the Stars. I don't know if you heard about that one, but we do Movies Under the Stars in the city, where we have outdoor film series as well. So we used to have about 1,000 people or so there at those events throughout the summer. So we've been doing those. So we make sure that we invest. So not only are we looking as a nonprofit to, come and just do the school development, but actually how do we become a partner in other community activities that you have going on with our arts and culture programming, to see, because you have a beautiful facility that you just finished building out here, a new performing arts theater, and I've been in there a couple years ago, and that's a beautiful place. And so how do we engage with that? And with our green environmental education, we go into schools throughout Flint and Genesee County. We talk to children, we talk to parents about what it means to be environmentally friendly. So all those programs and those things, we try to figure out how do we work with your district and to come in and help do some additional programming to see how we can help build upon some of the things that we do. So when it comes to historic rehab, let me step out your way here so you can see that. When it comes to historic rehab, this is Oak School, and this is after we cleaned it up a little bit to take some pictures, some lights on. But originally this building was vacant for about 17, 18 years. People tried to figure out something to do with it. One thing about school buildings, if you let them sit there too long, they just deteriorate very fast. I don't know what it is about historical school buildings, but when you let them sit there and there's like no life in them, they just start to just crumble and fall apart. But this building was actually on the demo list to get demolished in the city of Flint. If any of you are familiar with like the White Horse Tavern in the city, yeah, so see, most people know where the White Horse is. Right. I guess that's a place that brings everyone together, is the White Horse, right? But if you drive down Court Street, it's the school that's right to your right-hand side, on the south side of 5th, which turns into Court Street. And as you see, this building was dilapidated. We were able to rehab this into 24 senior apartments. So this is what it looks like now. But we have a medical room in there. We have a workout facility. We have a library, as you see down there, beautiful library. It's beautiful. It has a beautiful patio area out in front. We were able to keep some of the original wood in the building. That little cubby hole that you see there to the right, where a flower would go, that's actually where a bathroom used to be. And the reason why we kept that there is to help people remember where the bathroom used to be, and that's how the bathroom door was actually shaped. So we think about those things as far as through the project, is not to make it so modern that people don't remember the historical nature of the building, but to keep the architectural integrity of the building. So this is another building we just finished last year. This is Swayze Apartments, just a block over. This was vacant for about another 16 years or so. This building was all burned out, had fires, and we rehabbed this building, just finished last year. And this was 36 units, so we rehabbed this one 20 units, and we built the building next door that was new construction. And so as you see, when it comes to, as far as we show the jobs, try to, show the pictures and different things of that nature, but this project was just a big, I'm not gonna say it was a huge project, but it was always things moving. So now, as you see, these are the apartments, a finished apartment in that building. They came out very nice. We kept some old steel beams. I don't even know if we had a picture in there, but this is the after effect of how the building looks now, and the new building. This is the courtyard area, so we work with the residents in the community. They have a garden club there that they work with the local church. Oh, she moved too fast. But we have a master gardener, someone that actually lives there, that we actually sent them through master gardening courses. They partner with the local church in the neighborhood, and now they actually not only take care of our gardens, they have a vegetable garden, three gardens that they take care of in the local area. So we think about that as well as how do we actually get the residents involved in the community. So a lot of them actually volunteer, go throughout the neighborhood, picking up trash, even our seniors as well. So people go out, we want to engage them. We just don't want people just sitting in the apartments and not doing anything. So our intention is, what do we find out? What's going on in Swartz Creek? How do we engage the residents in the things that's happening in the community? This is a project we just started about 3 weeks ago. So this is the Coolidge School, which is on Ballinger over by McLaren Hospital. So this is about a $17 million project, and so as you see, we're building a new building in the back that has about 10,000 square foot of retail space and 30 apartments. And then the school building will have 24 apartments. The community center has a small theater. Originally, we were actually going to tear the gymnasium down. After meeting with the neighborhood and a couple of the community members, they said, can we keep the gymnasium? There's nowhere for kids to play basketball in the neighborhood. We thought there was somewhere at the church. Come to find out, the church kind of just made a room into a gym. So we're going to keep that, make it more usable for the kids to use in the wintertime and having some programming out there. But this is a great community project. They actually helped with the design of that. This is actually one of the first developments that's not just like in the immediate downtown area, but actually in the neighborhood and the community. So we're very cognizant of things that happen in neighborhoods and communities and working with people. So that's very important to us. As far as with economic development, like I said, we provided a little over 250 jobs so far, and that's getting people into unions, getting them trades, getting them trained. We've had people that lived in very low income that lived in public housing, and we've got them jobs where they went from not making anything to now they can't live in public housing anymore, but they're making $30, $40 an hour. So we talked about this a little bit about our Green Life education program, about being more environmentally friendly. Talked about that earlier. This is also how we things that we'll look to do as well in the community, but we have our Step Up program. Step Up is when we include high school, it can be high school, college, other organizations, where we go through the community, pick up trash, and we do walking routes. So it's exercise, so that's why it's called Step Up. So you pick up trash, and then you walk like a mile, 2 miles in the meet. So you're exercising and picking up trash at the same time. So this is the Culture Shock program I was telling you about earlier about our arts and culture. This is just an event we did at the Atwood Stadium. We'll actually be doing another one there in a couple weeks. The Taste of Culture event, which is an international event we do as well. We do pop-up performances throughout the community with artists, musical, people that might have musical talent, theater. We've done puppets. You think of something in art, we've probably done it. Even spray painting. I'm sorry, not spray painting. What is it called? Street art. Street art. Yes, because there's a difference between a graffiti artist and a street artist. Totally two different. So you learn those things after Because street artists get very upset at taggers, like when people go and tag, because then it makes their work look bad. So this is just something that we did last year. If you ever went to Back to the Bricks under the U of M Pavilion, we've had this there probably the last 3 years at Harlem Bricks. So this is one of the murals that was created. Yeah, so that's just a little bit about Communities First and who we are and what we do. We're going to show you a quick video about Communities First, about the Oak School project, and just how we engage the community. And if you have any questions, I'll come back up and answer them. But
It's upbeat music.
So while they're getting ready to cue that up, I guess a couple, that's very helpful to kind of understand Communities First and what they do. One of the things that we are obviously kind of moving forward to is asking the question, what types of things do you need from us next? And, without going into too much detail at this point, this is really for board members to be able to see, ask questions, have a quick conversation, but do you anticipate the board then, you're gonna need, if you're interested in the Mary Crapo building, the first step in that really is to understand that you need site control, is that correct?
Yep, absolutely. So I mean, the first thing that we need as an organization, because we have to apply for certain funding sources, and so we're not able to do that until we have site control over the site. So that just would consider us having an option agreement, which I told them we can work on that and get that to them. So that's something that we need. And the faster we get it, the faster we can get to work to see if we can secure these different, funding sources for the community.
And we can, I guess, within reason in saying it this way, from our community feedback that we've gotten, we're really looking at this being a senior project. And so we would have some ability to kind of speak into the purpose of the project and maybe the scope a little bit in terms of, moving forward, we're hoping to see this be a senior project.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, what we do, like I think I told you earlier, we just do a demographic study. I mean, we think that there's, seniors definitely in the community, so we don't, foresee that being a problem at all. Yep.
Okay. Does
So
anybody
you just
have any
to
other
defer the
questions?
market study, but, you don't want to spend the extra money until you have site control, and then we'll move forward with the market study on that.
Yeah, great. Is the video up and ready to go now?
All right. Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Yeah. Did you say you was gonna sing for us?
Yeah.
Since we can't get that to work, how about we send an email with the video to you,
Yep,
and
that'd
then
be
you can
great.
send it out to the rest of the board.
That'd be great.
Okay.
So, thank you for that.
I just have one
And then, yeah, feel free to
Yeah, you
ask
asked some
questions.
questions, yeah.
Go ahead, Ken, you said you had a question.
Question, when you say you're gonna look at the demographics of who may wanna reside there, I'll only speak for myself here.
Okay.
One of the things I'm looking at more than anything is protecting the community. Is this subsidized housing or not?
I guess the thing is, all housing is subsidized. I hate to say it, but in a way, it's all subsidized.
So speak to.
No,
That's it.
not all apartments are subsidized.
I guess it just depends. I mean, if they're using FHA financing, which about 90% of apartment complexes use, that has a level of federal subsidy. So I mean, if you're just talking about lower income subsidized, if that's what you're, more or less going after, this could have an element of lower income subsidized senior housing, yes.
And then my other concern is when you said it in reference to people with handicap issues. While I lived in the city of Flint over on the east side, there was a senior citizen apartment complex that was quote unquote old people.
Okay.
And before it was all said and done, when I guess the laws or whatever changed, there were 25-year-olds in there that had problems, whatever their problems were, that literally ran over the 80-year-olds. So my concern is, I'm more concerned of who and what's gonna live here.
Right. Well, I guess when you say who, I mean, so the thing about it is that when it comes to senior housing, so I'll give you an example. So our Oak School, that stays senior for at least 45 years. So we do ours for an extended period of time. So if ours is gonna be senior, it's gonna be seniors for a very long time. Now, I don't know what what development you're talking about on the east side, but each
Centerview Apartments, Center and
Centerview.
Davison.
Centerview.
They may not be called Centerview anymore.
Okay, yeah, I guess I just gotta think about which one of those are. But different developments have different requirements, and depending on what happened with that particular development, certain things happen. And if they don't have certain restrictions on it, then, people are able to do something. So I'll give you an example. Just say if you see an apartment complex and it went in foreclosure and somebody bought it, right? And then it didn't have any restrictions on it, then they can say, oh, I can open up to whoever I want. You get what I'm saying? So, but the difference things with us is that we put restrictions on our developments for at least 45 years, where they have to remain whatever it is that we start them on. So if it's senior, it'll remain senior for the next 45 years, at least. So that's even if it went to somebody else, which it wouldn't. So we're in this stuff for the long haul.
I think one of the concerns that Mr. Engel's bringing up is probably a concern that a lot of us, a lot of people in the community would have, and that would be, can you speak to the difference between the different levels of subsidized housing? Because I know that there's Section 8 housing, which is, free housing, and we've seen those developments. We even have some in our community. And then I think there are different levels. They're not all created. Can you give us a kind of a practical example of that?
You have different income levels, but what everything gets down to is management. If you have like horrible management, it doesn't really. If somebody can just move in tomorrow, if they're not doing proper background checks, if they're not screening people correctly, with background checks, the same thing. But if they're not doing that properly, it really doesn't. It really doesn't matter where your development is. You got to have proper management. So that's one thing that we're good at, is making sure we're having proper management. Now, when it comes to the AMI levels, you have different levels from like 30%, 60%, which you probably don't know some of those, what those mean.
Well, I can say, like,
on
a typical unit of what we look at, the apartment rent would be a maximum in Swartz Creek right now for a one bedroom, $660, two bedrooms, $793, and a three bedroom, $915. That's pretty much, from what I've seen, right in line with market. So we're not like dipping really low on a typical unit to say, it's only for extremely, extremely low. It's actually pretty much what the average apartment would be anyway, even if we didn't have that same kind of restriction.
Yeah.
And I'll just say that no matter what funding source we're pursuing, they're going to require that sort of market study. So it's going to be whether or not this community has the demand for, let's say, whether it's market rate, it's subsidized, and it's going to be dependent upon the data. And that connects with what funding might be available.
And when she says market rate, the thing is, if there's a market for it, we'll throw as many market rate units in there. We like to do as many mixed income properties as possible. So just to give you an example, so Coolidge has market rate and affordable units in it as well. But 80% AMI, what is the for a household for 80%?
So a household of four, the median is $55,800. So
Right.
take 80% of that.
Right. So just give me an example. So these are just, everyday people that already live in your community that can afford to actually live there. Yeah.
And this is also like not the first time that we've addressed these kinds of concerns that communities have. And so with our Swayze development, we were targeting in that instance because there was a need for it, much lower income individuals and, individuals that had experienced homelessness, because that was what the need was. And, there were multiple parties that agreed with that for that instance. And, initially there was the same kind of conversation. Well, we think these people are going to destroy our neighborhoods. What does this mean for our community? And we you know, maybe a couple of months ago, had a conversation with one of the biggest people who had opposition, and she said, you know, we haven't had any problems. Everybody's here because they want to have a successful life, and you guys are managing it well, but also you guys have made those individuals an asset to the community by getting them involved in the neighborhood association, by, you know, helping them to get jobs and do all of these other things that lots of developers and property owners don't do. So it's really about integrating people into a community and making sure that their needs are met and those problems don't arise when you have proper management, and also there's an intentional effort to make sure that there aren't problems. And so that's not to say that would be the kind of development we would do here, but that's just to say that we've had those same folks that had all of these concerns and apprehensions come back and say, you know what, I'm an endorser, you guys are doing a fantastic job.
And I can't tell you what's gonna happen 60 years from now. You know, like I can't, you know, look into the future that far. But I mean, I know as long as Communities First is around and what we're set up to do, you know, we're gonna be around for a while. So we're not going anywhere. The developments will remain affordable. That's the other difference about having someone local, is that we're here, so you're gonna run into me one day. Now that you see me, like, you're gonna see me again. So, you know, our name is on the line as an organization with Communities First. So, you know, we're not, you know, going into communities, destroying them. Our mission is to build healthy, vibrant communities. So that's what we do. It's about not just the buildings, but it's the people in them as well.
You all set, Ken?
Mhm.
Yeah. And they came and toured our development, you know, saw what was happening, see how clean our, you know, our
Very,
facility.
very nice facility. You know, I really appreciated the architecture, the you know, the red brick and the roof. Was that a slate roof?
Yeah, it was a slate roof.
Yeah, so you took it back to the original slate. You talked about the, you know, the structure on top that had the,
cupola.
yeah, that had the animals living up there and what have you.
Yeah.
But it, probably people living in there at one time
Oh,
also,
yeah,
the
yeah,
old school.
absolutely.
But it was very, very nice, inside and out, and the grounds, and that whole area, since I retired 17 years ago, and that whole area seemed to be really upgraded. And I'm believing that maybe Community First had an impact in redeveloping and kind of bringing up the quality of life in that particular area of Oak Street. Because I remember 20 years ago, there was a lot of problems there.
Yeah, we put about 14 million in that neighborhood that you were in. So now there's not really any more housing vacancy in that immediate area.
I was impressed. I was very impressed. But the part of the question I had was, kind of had been answered now. I was thinking sustainability and the commitment, Community First, and you're talking 45 years, so I doubt if I'll be here in 45 years from now. But Ken?
I won't be.
Thank you.
You still be on
No
the board?
comment. No comment.
That somewhere.
We have a bet going, who's gonna go first. Anyway, that was part of my, and if we do have a conflict, let's just say, you know, whether it be the school or the community government here, the DBA, I know the Swartz Creek community is trying to redevelop and kind of give a new signature to the whole downtown area, and Mary Craven was a big part of that.
Yep.
How do we work with the city government?
I've actually already spoken with Adam at the city already, and he's very excited to see if this is a possibility. So I don't foresee the city, as far as from his perspective, being a barrier as far as trying to move the project forward.
He'll be ecstatic to have the tax dollar. He's not getting anything right there. Let's call it what it is.
Well, I was thinking more of the management sense, you know, any conflict that might arise, you know, how does Community First work that out with the city? You just work through it?
We do all that. So.
Have you had situations like that with Flint and?
No. I mean, the thing is, when you say conflict, the thing is we don't really look at problems. We just kind of focus on solutions.
Opportunities.
Yeah, and I mean, really, if you put a problem in front of us, we just figure out like what's the solution instead of really focusing on the problem. So I'm not a big, I don't harp on problems too long. So I don't have it too much time.
That whole idea of 45 years of commitment, is that like in the contract or something, or?
Yeah, that's in our, that's something we'll put in the extended use agreement that will, you know, keep the project affordable. Yep, for that long.
Thank you very much for your time and
Yeah.
for being here tonight, and we appreciate all that you've done. So we'll be in touch for sure.
Okay. All right, thanks a
short
lot.
time. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Neola policy, first read.
All right, so in your board packets, this is our first read. I just wanted to highlight a couple quick things. You'll notice they are in 8B. So for those of you that have attended the policy committee, you know that you've already seen these. This entire new release is really about social media. And so the policy committee has already started digesting some of this. We looked at a couple things in depth this past week. A couple things you want to draw your attention to in particular is policy 7544. 7544 really deals with the use of social media, and there are quite a few options. So a lot of times Neola will give us policies, and we're looking at a policy and we don't, because of the law or whatever, have a lot of leeway or latitude in that. As a board, we talked about this a lot. One of your primary functions is to create policy, and so an approved policy. So when we look at 7540 and 7544, there are a number of options that are going to be needing to have some additional discussion. We're going to take some time in committee to do that. Obviously, they're all committee of the whole, so you're welcome to attend our next policy committee meetings. But 75, 44, and 40, we'll just have more options than some of the normal ones that Neola gives us because of the constant moving target of social media. So we don't need to go into specific details on each one, but I wanted to draw your attention to that. And I did provide for you as well the yellow sheets, which provide that overview. And so they give you a little bit of a snapshot, and so you can obviously see that along with the white sheets, which are our normal policy manuals. Varnum is the attorney group for Neola. They put out a special release regarding First Amendment and free speech. This is something that's come up quite a bit over the last couple of years with some of the issues that we've been dealing with in our schools and also in society as a whole. So that special release is there for you. Just something to consider as we've seen some different things over the past few years that have dealt with free speech and First Amendment issues. We also, you also have the second set, which have the yellow sheets as well. They all deal with social media and technology policies. So we'll need to take a couple more board meetings to kind of flesh those out, but you have them there in your possession now so that you can take some time to look them over. And as I said, 7540 and 7544, I would pay some particular attention to those as they have quite a few options.
Any questions? Seeing none. Now, Mr. Nolan,
Yeah,
the
so
Swartz Creek Virtual Learning Center presentation.
I'm gonna ask Daniel to come up, and
Thank
we have an opportunity as we're moving over to the middle school with the traditional academy program. And one of the things that we've noticed is that we do a lot of things really well, and we also have some things that we really need to improve on in that arena. Daniel has had quite a few opportunities to shape some of these ideas over the last couple months, and so we want to give him an opportunity to share some of those ideas with you in a brief presentation.
Thank you very much. Sorry, hang on here. No, just briefly, so there's different flyers and pamphlets in there, and they all come down to the basic concept. There are 4 different parts to the Swartz Creek Virtual Learning Center. There's the Freedom Learning Program, which is an all online. There's the Explore program, which is where the students still come here over at the middle school. And the programs are online, but there's more supports to help them with staff and students and some peer-to-peer. There's the homeschool connections, where we're going to focus to provide more opportunities for homeschool students to take electives here at Swartz Creek to get them more connected to us. And then there's the Adult Voyager program, which is the adult piece, which is where we're still high school completion and GED. So this is just a way it's reframing and kind of bringing everything under one roof with that Swartz Creek Virtual Learning Center, and looking forward to going forward and starting help these kids be successful and do some recruiting. And we did take some of the suggestions that Stacy had over at the meeting we had this week and integrated those into the pamphlet.
Thank you.
So one of the things that I'm excited about with this, and Rod and several of our administrative staff went over to Hamilton to talk with their program head over there, and Daniel was a part of that as well. And they do a lot with their all virtual learning, and they've really tapped into the homeschool population. So that's kind of an untapped group of people who they would love to have opportunities in certain aspects, and they can come and attend our schools for some of the more elected-based courses. And so the Homeschool Connections Hub kind of helps do that and accomplish that. It's an area we, I think, have not done a very good job of kind of reaching into. The Explorer program is similar to what our existing academy is right now, allowing kids to have both the face-to-face interaction as well as their curriculum and content delivery being online with mentors that help guide them through that program. Eric Jones, you're probably familiar with him, and I think that was maybe something we should celebrate as a graduate of Swartz Creek. You know, won the NASCAR Coca-Cola 400 just a few weeks ago. He was a graduate from our online program. We had kind of at that time a little bit ahead of when we've actually had it in programming, but this Freedom Learning program would be exactly that type of person. There are people who are playing hockey that don't necessarily have the time or ability to attend school, but they need to still get their education. This would be an opportunity for a student like that. And then our adult education, as you know, has been very successful, so that's the adult program. So we're putting them under the umbrella of the Virtual Learning Center. The hub will be out there in that wing of the middle school. It's one of the things that we've been talking about. But hopefully an opportunity to grow the program in a way that is most productive for our students, and also I think gives us a chance to maybe realize that there's some untapped resources out there. There are for-profit organizations opening up charter schools and schools by the day that don't do near as good a job as we could do here in Swartz Creek, and so this is an opportunity to maybe hopefully grab some of those students back. So
all these curriculums are already designed. These aren't things that we need to recreate or.
Correct. So we're using STAN, which is a program that already has the core courses lined up, and also Odyssey will show using that. As far as looking at for the homeschool, I want to, in order to get that group to come in, is to talk to them and see what courses they're interested in. We can actually construct those and have a teacher here at Swartz Creek do that to make that possible for those homeschool students. So that's in the future.
Just market to them directly.
Yes, correct. Yep.
Any other questions for Mr. Nolan?
What are our current numbers?
Oh, for the next virtual learning center is about 100.
Virtual learning and what's at the academy? What are our current numbers?
Yeah, I think there were about 115 at the in Power School for the academy. Then that would be 12. So, and then there's another 15, I think, for GED. So.
And what's the separation in here, as you said, for virtual learning? Is that?
Well, they all, because it's one school building code, so they all fall under that. So within that 115, there are students that are all completely online, and there's a portion that come in during the day.
And that's what I'm asking, what are those numbers?
So on any given day, the last year, they were having about 50 to 80 students come in, depending on what was going on or what courses they needed support with.
last year, I believe we counted 112 students at the academy.
That came in the door every day, or once or twice a week?
Yeah, yep.
And then how many never walked in the door?
That's a number that I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know if you know that off the top of your head, but we could get that information.
And that's the number we're looking to increase?
Well, that's the number we want to reach out to them and help them be successful, but there are other students within the Swartz Street community that we'd like to reach out to and bring them into the community, the family here for education.
Yeah, so for example, we have not marketed an online only education like the one that a lot of the hockey players, a lot of the kids that are doing that. We have not specifically marketed that. It's only been the academy.
Okay.
And so the kids that are going to be in that type of a program have to be independent and pretty strong learners. It's not for everybody.
Correct. So, but that'll be a virtual learner. They're never coming here.
Correct.
Okay, so
Yep.
that's my question. I would like to know what that number currently is, so that a year from now when we're having this conversation, but I won't be sitting here,
Mhm.
but a year from now when we have conversation,
So essentially, that's zero.
it went up or it went down. So there's none?
I mean, you have some in the academy who choose to do mostly online, but they have the option of coming in. Right now, there's no one, this is a brand new
Okay, so
offshoot
this
of-
is new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd been an easy answer.
Yeah. But the one thing about why we need to be careful about that new area is because we need to be careful about what students we put into that type of
Correct.
program. Because not everybody can
Nope.
handle that type of a coursework, and so we wanna put kids in a position to be successful.
See them come back in the door where I work.
Exactly. So,
Cool, thank you very much.
thank you. All right, so, we have we're blessed and fortunate, we've had, I would say, some of the most incredible opportunities to meet with some new teachers that we're gonna have a chance to meet tonight. And some of these individuals are coming to us from other districts, other school districts. They're choosing to come to Creek. I think that's exciting. And what I'd like to do, because we do have a number of them, I'm gonna ask Mr. Heatherton to, from the podium, introduce each candidate. And they'll have an opportunity to respond to the board, and then we can vote individually on each candidate, and then give them the opportunity to shake each of your hand and get to know you. And then we'll go from candidate to candidate. We do have one candidate, unfortunately, that couldn't make it tonight, but she will be at our next board meeting to be introduced as well.
Thank you. Were you all prepared to say something? As Ben said, it was an amazing experience. I was telling Tony when he first got here, we've probably screened over 70 people in the last 3-4 weeks, and then another 30 of multiple different rounds of.
On that topic, could you just give a quick synopsis, because you and I did the first screenings, and talk to the board about what that means. When we say we've met with 70 to 100 people, that's not a joke. Talk about what we do for a screener instead of bringing everybody to just a full interview.
So as Ben and I were looking last year at opportunities to bring people in, we noticed that sometimes in a round of interviews, you're looking at 6 to 8 people, and half of those people don't perform very well. And then you've got this full committee of teachers and other people who you've kind of wasted some time. So one of the things that we've introduced is a screener round where you're massively looking at a lot of people, and so people come in for 10 minutes and they're gonna tell you whatever they can tell you in that 10 minutes, and you literally pare down from 20 some people to the amount that you wanna bring back in front of a full committee. So generally the screener is a small group, like me and the principal, or the principal and assistant principal, pare them down, and then when you have the committee here, you're really looking at some very viable candidates, and that process has worked out as we have some amazing people to bring you tonight. So yes, literally at least 70 between this process and probably another 3 or 4 people in the August meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be about 9-10 total when we're all said and done. So I'm gonna start with Joanne Sino-Sandlin, if you wanna come on up here. We're excited to have Joanne with us. She's coming to us with 18 years of experience from Carmen Ainsworth. She has multiple experiences. Some of the things that the committee was very excited about was some of her restorative practices and her mindfulness and her PBIS. She's an amazing collaborator, working with kids and teachers and parents. We are having her come to Moorish Elementary to be a 3rd grade teacher, and I'm going to have her talk a little bit about herself and introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Joanne Sino-Sandlin, and I live here in the community, and I have 4 children. 2 have already graduated from Swartz Creek. About a month ago, my daughter was one that came and did her senior exit presentation to the board, if you remember that, Michaela. And my son graduated in 2011. And I have 2 of my little guys back here who are powering through this long meeting, doing a great job back there. One going into 8th grade, and one going into 5th grade at Moorish. So I'm very excited I get to be at the building for his last year of elementary. I love Moorish, Mrs. Corbett, and all the staff. They are the ones that I've tried to kind of get ideas from and kind of, you know, imitate and take things from them. They are great staff. I love the community. I've been part of the boosters for the athletics, and just every building I go into, every experience I've had has been very positive as a whole. So I really appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity. And as they were saying, the interview process was pretty intense, having those 3 meetings, and I'm very excited and happy that I was able to make it through that, and I'm excited to get started.
So I'd like to bring before you for recommendation to hire Joanne Sino-Sandlin.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
So we got, Mike and Tony.
All those in favor?
Well, I was gonna do that, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This is for the SEA employment. Be it resolved that Swartz Community Schools Board of Education approved the employment of Joanne Sino-Sandlin as a teacher of Moorish Elementary for 2018 and 2019 school year as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Congratulations.
Congrats. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you. I can go around that way.
For the next one, tell them to dip down the middle, it'll be easier.
Thank you. And I want to thank my cheering section that I brought with me, and my friends and family that I brought.
Listen, if you want to stay as long as you want, that's up to you. We know.
Or get out of here. We won't be
I
offended.
think my boys will vote get out.
Rod, you want to go with the next one, even though?
You want me to just?
Yes.
Okay,
Because
so-
we still need to, yeah.
So she won't be here tonight, but Shannon Fournier comes to us with experience at Grand Blanc Academy. The interview team really loved the way she relates to young children. We're looking to have her come in and do 1st grade at Elms Road Elementary, and we're expecting Mr. Simonson to bring her so you can at least meet with her at the August meeting. So I would like to recommend to you for hire Shannon Fournier for Elms Road Elementary.
Thank you, Rod. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Stacy, Mike?
Well, hey, at least knows a lot of public.
Be it resolved, Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approved the employment of Shannon Fournier as a teacher at Elms Road Elementary for 2018-2019 school year as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Congratulations, Shannon.
Congratulations. You'll get to meet her on the.
Stephanie Young, come on. So we are very excited to have Stephanie with us. When we were doing some of the middle school rounds, we came across these 4 math candidates that were outstanding, and I wanted to hire them all. Stephanie is very unique in that she has math and ELA certification. So she has both in her toolkit, and we are looking for both of those at the middle school. She comes to us from Saginaw Township and has quite a lot of great experiences, very collaborative, and the committee was most impressed with her knowledge of instructional strategies in both practices, and they were very impressed with that. So we were bringing her before you for a middle school ELA position. So I will have her tell you a little bit about herself. Stephanie.
Rod pretty much covered all of it already, but I'm from, originally I grew up in like Highland Township area, Milford, and so that's kind of where my background is. Went to school at Oakland University, and I have spent the past 3 years teaching up in Saginaw Township, but living in Fenton, which was part of the inspiration for looking somewhere a little bit closer to home, part more of my immediate community because that's a really long commute. And I've had a lot of great experiences there with just a wonderful staff, great supportive administration, and I'm excited to bring a lot of the ideas that I got from that district into Swartz Creek, and I'm excited to be part of such a supportive, warm community again. Had some family who grew up going to Swartz Creek schools, and I've heard nothing but great things, so excited to be here.
So I would like to recommend Stephanie Young for hire to you at the middle school for ELA.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. Support.
Tony? Tony. Tony.
T squared.
Be it resolved, Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approve the employment of Stephanie Young as an ELA teacher at the middle school for the 2018-2019 school year as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carried. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, Stephanie, I have to ask the obvious, because as I walked in with you, I'm like, wow,
6 feet tall.
she's tall and she's got flats on, so.
I get that
Did you
question
play
many
her-
times every day.
Did you play basketball or volleyball?
And I knew that question was coming next, but no, middle school I played volleyball,
Okay.
but I don't
So
think that really counts.
no coaching in your future? Okay.
I'm not very coordinated.
Math and ELA coach.
Christy.
Right.
So we have another math candidate for you. Christy Chiano Blevins comes to us from Flushing Schools. The committee was especially impressed with her training and her approaches and her grasp on instruction, not only for tiered 1 and the basic level at the classroom, but for all the different differentiated levels of RTI and MTSS that our students need help with. She also has a very intense and technological background, so she has a lot of experience bringing tech into the classroom and making that very engaging. Her mother was once a teacher at our Swartz Creek Middle School, so she has been
Sue?
very
Sue.
excited.
So I knew the name. I
about the
wasn't-
possibility
She looks like her mother.
of coming to us and keeping that legacy alive. So I'll have her tell a little bit more about herself and her experiences.
Thank you. Again, Christy Chiano Blevins. I am originally from Swartz Creek, born and raised. I have worked at Flushing Community Schools for the last 5 consecutive full-term years. I, again, have a master's in educational technology, which I love to use in the classroom. I'm trained in math workshop, trained in math leadership, trained in math recovery. So I'm really excited to use those tools here at Swartz Creek. When I found out you guys were looking for someone new, especially with the math department, especially from Swartz Creek, it kind of tugged on my heartstrings a little bit, being from Swartz Creek. So, of course, I pounced on it. I have my eternal gratitude with Flushing Community Schools. They helped get my feet wet. I learned a lot from them. I have a lot of friends there. But I'm very eager and excited to start here in Swartz Creek, my hometown, Dragon Country, with my family, Justin. We are building a house in Swartz Creek currently right now. We have a very young family, Ava, she's 2.5, eating animal crackers. And Lexi, she was just born January 26th, 5 months old. So I'm very excited to start here in the fall.
So I'd like to recommend for hire Christy Chiano Blevins for mathematics at the Swartz Creek Middle School.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Stacy, Mike? Be resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approve the employment of Christy Chiano Blevins as a math teacher at the middle school for our 2018-2019 school year as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
And finally tonight, we'd like to have Ms. Jo Runkle come forward. She is the third of the four amazing math teachers that I was blown away with during this process. And she is coming to us with actually some secondary experience. And not only does she have some great experience with instructional strategies, but she brings that upper level math instruction as she taught in the high school. And she also chaired the math department when she was at her former school. So we're really excited to have her with us to also take a math position in Swartz Creek Middle School. So if you would tell them a little bit about yourself.
So I grew up in Clarkston, Michigan, so kind of in this area, and then right out of college got a job in Niles, which I don't know if you guys are familiar, like very southwest corner of Michigan. So now that we're starting a family, my husband and I wanted to move closer, and he's a math teacher too. He actually did middle school in the district that I taught in Niles. So he got a job in Clarkston, and I got a job here, so we're very excited to move back. We actually just listed our house, and he's there now because we have like 7 showings in the next 2 days, so there's a lot going on. So we're excited to come here, and we have family in like Grand Blanc and surrounding areas, so we're very excited. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
You're gonna miss some work when we hire you, aren't you?
Here in the beginning.
I'd like to recommend for hire Joe Runkle for middle school math.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Tony, Mike. Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approve the employment of Jill Runkle as a math teacher at the middle school for the 2018-2019 school year as presented. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yep.
Did you wanna
You better get her
discuss,
with HR person.
Yeah, we, Rod, do you wanna introduce, Katie?
Absolutely.
One of the, I can give the background and then I'll let Rod introduce her. We've had the fortune of having really strong people in our district for a while. Katie has been working out at Gaines as a special education teacher. She's also served as the district MTSS coordinator position. If you got my email earlier today, I know we talked about it at previous meetings. One of the things she's going to be doing is we're consolidating administrative staff with the departure of Mrs. Johnston. So Katie is going to take on the role of the Gaines Elementary principal and also maintain some semblance of the tiered system support that she was doing before. Rod, if you want to introduce her and.
Absolutely. So I'm excited to introduce Katie Prayer. She came to us a couple of years ago, as Ben said, and started off in the special ed department at Gaines Elementary. But before she came to us from Gaines, she already had a wealth of experiences behind her in MTSS, in intervention, and in just organizing those systems, the data, and how we look at it. So when the position opened up to, actually the year after that, you went up to the high school to be the TC. So she was running the special ed department at the high school. Last year, when the MTSS position opened up itself, and as you know, Jody Morgan's been presenting to you for years about our data and our systems, and Katie was able to replace her. And Katie and I and Jody have worked really hard to keep those systems going, to keep our teams going, to meet with our coaches and make sure that we're providing the level of intervention. So it was a great fit to be able to swing this type of position where she can take care of Gaines and also continue to help us with our systems of support. And she'll be working closely with Jody and I, as well as all of the duties assigned at Gaines Elementary.
And I think Jim called for a date as well. No, I was stood here 2 years ago, and I'm very excited to be back going to Gaines. I enjoyed my time out there. I'm super excited. The staff is wonderful, and I'm excited to go back and work with them and just bring in just that community and stability that they're looking for, and it's going to be a great year for us. So I'm really looking forward to it, and I really appreciate you letting me spread my wings, because I feel like that's all I've been doing since I got here. So thank you.
Thank you. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Tony, Mike? PAT employment. Be resolved, the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approved Katie Preer, the Gaines Elementary Principal, and tiered system support as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Happy day. Bye. Thanks.
Next, with the opening of our new Swartz Creek Virtual Learning Center, it's just an honor to have somebody like Daniel, who is within our district. Whenever we have the opportunity to promote from within, that is the best thing we can do, and give people opportunities. Daniel has a real vision for technology. He's extremely well versed in all of our systems that we use. Not only going to be the Virtual Learning Center, but all throughout the district. He's been very instrumental in a lot of different things at the high school. He's been one of the leads there as a counselor. And so his counseling experience will be very instrumental as Mr. Carey at the Academy is retired. Daniel obviously knows the ins and outs of transcripts, post-secondary, how to help students cross that finish line, which is all very important. So we're thankful and excited for this opportunity for him. So anything you'd like to share?
Oh, I'm just grateful for the opportunity. I've been in Creek for 9 years, and hopefully it's another 9 or 19, so I'm excited.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support. Stacy, Tony. Administrative employment. Be it resolved, the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approve Daniel Nolan, Director of Virtual Learning, as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Daniel.
I know, right?
We had somebody in the back opposing this.
I'm sure they Thank you.
Did you say we were like Catholics?
It looked like Catholic service today, man.
What do you feel about
But
that?
now we didn't kneel yet. It was
No,
the last
well.
one.
I ain't said I'm sorry yet either.
Well, maybe you're not. That's you don't need any forgiveness.
Oh, I
You
probably
don't
do.
need to be.
So you can do the resolution.
Yeah, so the 2018 bond resolution that's calling for the election, I did send you the documents that had the language in there. One of the things that I think I brought up at our last board meeting, just to reiterate, most school districts' bond ballot language is very broad. Through the conversations with several of you board members, I think, and also community members, it was pretty apparent that we wanted that to be as specific as possible. So it doesn't just call out one thing. The bond obviously has some specific things that are going to be in there, and we're going to want to make sure that everything that we would ever spend money on with any of our taxpayer dollars would be spent according to the way that they've given us the blessing to do so. So the resolution there obviously is in 9D, and you'll be able to see the bond language itself. Again, just the cliff notes that we've talked about in previous meetings. It's a $48 million, and I will just read it for the record. It's for the purpose of erecting, furnishing, and equipping additions to school buildings and facilities, remodeling, including safety and security improvements to furnishing and refurnishing and re-equipping school buildings and facilities, acquiring and installing instructional technology and instructional technology equipment for school buildings, erecting, developing, equipping, and improving playgrounds, athletic facilities and fields, driveways, parking areas, and sites. These are, this is an exhaustive list. We felt like it needed to be there so that people, can hold us to task and hold us accountable for what they're approving when they see that on the ballot. So at this time, we need to take action on that. So it would be as presented.
Okay, do you want me to actually read all of this, or is what you read good enough?
No, you can read that, and then we'll need to have a copy of this in the minutes.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support. Stacy and Tony. 2018 Swartz Creek Community Schools resolution to call bond election approval. Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approve the 2018 resolution to call the bond election as presented, and then a copy of that will be attached to the minutes. Any questions, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You know, maybe I should back up and do a roll call.
Why don't we do a roll call?
Joanne, could I have you do the roll call?
Yeah. Ken?
Aye. Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Stacy?
Yes.
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 And Brian?
Yes. Motion carried.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Step one.
Congratulations, Ben. A lot of hard work to get to this point. Good.
Yes,
The hard
thank
work
you for
is
your hard
just
work.
Just
Yeah.
beginning. Exactly.
Well, okay, a lot of hard work, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's just beginning.
There's a lot more work.
Good work, folks, good work. E, Swartz Creek Virtual Learning Center bid approval.
This is the bid for the new virtual learning center over at the middle school, doing some construction there. We had some conversations at our meeting prior to make sure that we're walling off the buildings, installing the proper alarm systems, the toilet rooms, and those types of things, so that they can get ready to roll.
Do I have a motion to accept the bid?
So moved.
Support. I'm sure everybody's had an opportunity to review it and the notes. Swartz Creek Virtual Learning Center bid approval. Be it resolved, the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approve the Swartz Creek Virtual Learning Center bid as presented. Any discussion?
I only have one question is, we're remodeling an entire building for almost as much as we're remodeling a couple things in the hallway. Did we look at getting other bids? Did we look at having someone else?
Yep, so,
Well, I got that end of it, but I mean, it's someone besides E&L Construction. I understand they got separate bids from people, but do we look at having someone else look at it?
so we went through the proper procedures in terms of posting and doing all of that. I think one of the things that is an unfortunate reality of this is that we're probably paying an increased cost and premium because of the fact that most jobs had been bid out earlier in the spring. The economy's better, and so we did not necessarily get probably the best pricing that we could had this gone out, I would say earlier, late winter, something like that when companies are out there doing it. I continue to be amazed at the cost, and I'd say my response was exactly like yours, which is it's kind of a hard pill to swallow when you start scratching your head. Stacy and I have had that conversation many times. I think commercial construction codes and the things that they have to do anytime you touch a space, just surprising the cost. But I think in particular, these bids, we did not have as many bidders come in even looking for the work. And when we tried to reach out to some of the others, like we had some local contractors that didn't even put in, and we asked, they said we've got too much work, we can't even commit to it. So I think probably timing was not in our favor in this.
So maybe our own behavior?
Potentially, yeah. In terms of getting it out maybe earlier,
That's something we may, something the board in the future may wanna look at is maybe wait a year. I mean, in this case, I don't think we had a lot of choice, but
Yeah.
when we were putting things in gear over on Morris Road, we probably should have been putting things in gear here.
Yep.
And,
Yeah, I think you're right.
but I also think, these guys are looking at the potential of getting a lot of work if that bond passes over the next few years. I'd like to think that they can do something a little different or better. Because otherwise, I think the board needs to look other places for hiring a contractor, because that's part of their job, is to go find us good bids and things that are cost efficient for us. So, Cause I think that price there is ridiculous. For another 100,000, they're reinventing a whole new building. And here what are they dropping in? Some doors, bathrooms? Okay. Well, we're held hostage at this point, so I mean, it really doesn't matter, but that's where I am upset with them. I think they should put forth a little better effort.
Okay. We'll definitely pass that on.
You want me to do a roll call on this one?
You don't have to.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Ken, for your comments. Comments to public. Comments of the public. If anybody has a need or want to make a comment, we need your name for the secretary. Keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Questions that are not answered at the time of the meeting will be posted on the website with the following board meeting agenda. Anybody want to make a comment? Linnea.
Okay, I'm Linnea Rocha from the Swartz Creek View and the Swartz Creek Chamber of Commerce. Now, Ben, did you mention under awards?
I did not.
Yeah.
So, but
She wins something.
I'd be happy to have you say that.
Chamber of Commerce presented Ben with the Children's Champion Award this year at our Stars Luncheon. It was also a fundraiser.
Look at you, man.
For
It's kind of cool.
schools,
I got a hat out of it and everything.
for the
Hopefully they go
school's
to the point.
supplemental food program. So Ben, if you can come to the luncheon Tuesday,
Yep,
it's at Woodhaven, we'll have a check.
that'd be awesome.
Congratulations. Thanks, Linnea.
As Tony just said, that's 2 meetings in a row you walked in the water.
I know. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Tony's like, well, I didn't say it like that.
How about comments from the board?
I'll start. Congratulations, everyone we hired. Thank you for applying. Thank you for hanging around and climbing up the food chain and making things better. To me, these are the best meetings there are because it's neat to be able to give people new things in life to do and hire people. That's what everyone went to school for, and was to make money and enjoy their jobs. What it is. If you didn't enjoy this, I hope you wouldn't be doing it. So congratulations, everyone.
Thank you, Ken. Tony, anything?
Just wanted to say, I think Ben and Rod did a great job with a very eclectic and very sounds like a very extensive process to get a great group of new teachers and new administrators. So congratulations to you for going through that process and helping us get the finest sounds like in the area to work for. So
Excellent. Tony?
I think we've hired some fantastic teachers today, and I'm really excited to get working on this bond.
Yes. Mike?
Congratulations.
Stacy?
Same thing, congratulations to everybody.
And I just want to finalize everything with exactly what you said, Tony. Congratulations all the new hired teachers and all the ones that were promoted. Wonderful opportunities for our school and for individuals. And the bond. Looking forward to a wonderful challenge. Yeah.
One more thing. Thank you, Rod. 'Cause I think you get lost sometimes behind the scenes, and that we give Ben all the credit. But obviously, you had a huge hand in it, so congrats to you too.
We got one more. We'll go ahead and take it.
Sorry, a little late.
You can be part of the board.
Hammer almost came down.
I just have a question actually for the board, I guess. Does this fill all of our open positions? Obviously we have some that are being left, and that makes me very sad. But are all the positions unfilled?
No, we actually have, 2 more,
You wanna sleep with it?
finalized, they'll be coming in August. We have a, secondary Spanish, secondary arts.
And now a secondary counselor.
So you answered my question, that's not so.
Well, thank you. And with that said, it's 8:23. Meeting adjourned.
Gosh, you're so loud with that.
That's not a 22 ounce, isn't that?
It's not, jeez, oh God, no, we don't want to do that. For Christ's sakes. Have a hole in the table.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Maybe Carrie's didn't miss a meeting. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, we'll get that. I'll find out if I can get a slate of those out.
And I'll have Becky email